A brand new podcast for everyone who wears multiple titles, hats, and even a few masks. We talk about serious things, lighthearted things, and it's perfect just to take a minute away and take that superhero cape off. Listen to it wherever you find your favorite podcast, and follow us on social media at Removing the Cape.
Hi, I can't hear you, but hello. Still can't, but I'm still smiling. No, we gonna keep smiling though. I just kind of just see you moving your head, but hello, how y'all doing? That's all right. We working through it. We gonna work through it.
There we go. Hello?
Oh, there she is.
There we go. All right.
All right.
All right. So rewind. I wish we had like
from the beginning.
Wait, here. I'm a flashy thing, everybody. There we go.
Okay.
All right. So, starting over. This is LoveReigns, and I'm here for the 7th annual Fly Socks and Tees presented by MPN. Shouts out to Mr. Al P, MJ Baker. Amazing job on 7 years of just awesomeness. Shouts out to them for doing this Arts and Media Super Bowl. And once again, like I said, my name is LoveReigns, and I have the absolute pleasure of being the host of the Evolution of Art panel discussion. And I'm joined by some amazing artists who are, professionals who are just dope in their own right. So first up, we got Miss Aushia Smith. Hey, Aushia.
Hi, how are you? Hello, world.
Well. And I'm going to give everybody a chance to tell them so they can tell you, the world, who they are. And next up, we've got the one and only Mr. Damien Lamar. Hello, sir.
Hello. Good evening. Good to see you again.
Aquarius brother.
Yeah. Good to see you.
And then last but certainly not least, we have the one and only Miss Erin Kendrick. Hello, Erin.
Hey, everybody. Everybody in the neighborhood. Hello.
Right.
Everybody in the neighborhood. All right. So here's the deal, right? Hosting shows and hosting events for as long as I've been doing it, I've always found that it's better if the artists themselves tell who they are. I actually heard motivational speaker Lisa Nichols saying how, my bio is great. I've done all of these amazing things, but what you should be focused on is what I'm doing now and the things that I have coming up. So we're going to start with Miss Aushia Smith. Tell the people who you are. Tell them why you're dope. We did it in alphabetical order, so.
Oh, okay. Well, I am dope because of Jesus. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, because of Jesus though. But I'm a Jacksonville native. Started modeling at a very, very young age, and after being told so many times no, I decided to take matters into my own hands and created a company in which I featured myself, and then it bloomed into something more than I ever thought. So my first project was a fashion show where I featured myself because I was just told no so many times in the modeling industry. Because of so many different things, my skin color, I have a gap, my size, so many different reasons. So I took matters into my own hands, created my own company, which turned into a multi-purpose productions company where we do talent coordinating, talent development, tour management, bookings, so many things. So we're just cultivating within the cultivation of entertainment business, and then now within ministry, bringing that same thing towards the kingdom of God. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Next up, we've got Mr. Damien Lamar. Hello, sir.
Hello. Good to see you. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday, neighborhood. Happy Friday, world. I'm DamienLamar.com. I was just telling our host maybe a couple days ago or yesterday that I'm a creator, and I am creative because the creator likes to keep me stylish. I wear lots of hats because the creator likes to keep me stylish. So I have a media company called Professor Clock Media, LLC, and I work by day for the historic Garden Club of Jacksonville, where I am the first ever operations manager. I've been there almost a year, doing amazing facility improvements and enhancements to that historic, beautiful space. So when things return to a sense of normalcy, do check out the Garden Club. And in the evening, I happen to be in two bands. One of my bands is called Neon Motherboard, and the other one is called KTG Entertainment. And I have been a creative for as long as I can recall, since birth. So I love to create again because the creator likes to keep me stylish, and I'm happy to be a part of this great panel. So thank you for me.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Miss Erin Kendrick, tell the people why you are dope.
Hello, everyone. Why am I duh? I am a visual artist, so I'm a full-time visual artist. I'm also an arts educator. Occupation-wise, that's what I do on the day-to-day basis. I am the visual arts instructor at Jacksonville Arts and Music School, and I'm stepping into a bigger role there. I'm sort of stepping into the director of education role there. So outside of that, I make art all day. I teach everybody all day, and that's kind of the gist of what I do.
Awesome. So thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy schedules, because you all are definitely dope in your own right. So this is going to be a great conversation. So we're going to start off because we don't have a ton of time. So there's a couple quotes that I wanted to just start off with, and we'll start the conversation that way. So Nina Simone said, "An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. I think that is true of painters, sculptors, poets, and musicians. As far as I'm concerned, it's their choice, but I choose to reflect the times and situations in which I find myself. That to me is my duty." So that's the first quote. And then the second quote, we are all debris of evolution. If Michelangelo was born in our generation, do you think he would have painted the way that he did during his time? So we're going to start there. Let's start with you, Miss Aushia Smith. How do you feel about those two quotes and your place, right? You wear many hats, your place in the art and creative space during this time.
Well, starting off with Nina Simone's quote, I think it is our duty as a creative or creator to pay it forward. Meaning that as you're being cultivated, you have to cultivate others, because we learn different ways on how to express ourselves in so many different ways, and we're sometimes so timid on, is this right? Would this be accepted? Is this right? Is this going to be accepted? But the thing is, you just have to jump both feet, hands in the air, and long as you're true to yourself, and at all times being true to yourself, and then it will bring and cultivate others to do the same. So a lot of times we get caught up in what so many people would like. It is our duty to just be ourselves. It is our duty to just help others be themselves. And I think it's an important situation that we drive home for people to do just that.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that. Erin, from the visual art space, how do you feel about that?
In regards to the Nina Simone quote, I absolutely believe and teach. Like, one of the first things you teach in an art classroom in terms of like the roles of an artist is that we are the record keepers. Most of what not most, but a lot of what we know about history in general is because artists were recording it, whether being, writers, songwriters, visual artists, sculptors. We were recording the things that were happening in history. So, she's right on with that quote, like that's our responsibility.
Yeah.
And some people choose not to, go the political route with their artwork and things like that. But even if you're just like painting the birds outside, you're still creating a record of that bird, that type of bird, that color of bird, that type of tree being out there at that point in time. So, and I would really ask you, because I do want to say something about it. Can you repeat the Michelangelo quote?
Yeah, so it says, we are all debris of evolution. If Michelangelo was born in our generation, do you think he would have painted the way that he did during his time?
The interesting thing about that quote and the choice of asking about Michelangelo is, I think, at that time that Michelangelo was doing the work that he was doing, he was sort of like the end all be all. He was the kind of main voice, and only so many people or types of people were allowed to do that type of work and tell those type of stories. It's kind of like the whole Lion and the Hunter story.
Yeah.
So I think the interesting thing about today is that, we wouldn't have to rely on a Michelangelo. Like, there's so many of us from so many perspectives telling each of our individual stories that you really get a better sense of like what's actually happening, because you aren't getting the story of man or the story of life from one singular voice.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And I'm going to get to you, Damien. One thing I wanted to touch on that you said, Erin, as far as, a lot of people, there's some creatives who choose not to reflect the times, specifically. But like you said, even if it's drawing a bird or talking about the birds, that are out there, or just talking about the world around you, whether it's in your house, whether it's the four walls, whatever it is, you are keeping record of that time in whatever way, whatever your art form is. So, even if there are some people who don't necessarily choose to specifically say that they are, political activists or artivists, so to speak, they still in some way contribute to the politics of the generation with their art, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Mr. Lamar.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the ladies hit right on it, and I completely agree with Erin. A lot of people, a lot of artists I know, if they feel like, especially in this time, coming from a musician perspective, and I can't speak for all musicians, but as a musician, I feel a lot of us do want to have voice and want to have to reflect what's going on. But at the same time, for me personally, I'm the type of artist I can't just create on the fly. I have to use the energy of what's there and what's around me in order to like literally kind of create. So, there's two sides of the coin, especially given everything going on with the pandemic, with our two wars that we're at. We have a war with COVID-19 and we have a war with racism. At the same time, I'm seeing a lot of artists feel like it would be not a good time to put out music. For instance, those artists that are going to be releasing stuff, they feel like it's not a good time because it would diminish the actual message of what's actually needs to happen in the world right now. Yeah. And there's two sides of the coin, so that's something to think about as well.
Yeah, and I get that. I mean, and you and I were talking about I think it was Yeba. You were saying Yeba wants to put out some new music, but she specifically is wanting to hold off because she felt like her music wouldn't be received right now during this time. You know, on the flip side, though, however, I feel like artists like that, I look to artists like that, you know, and so I'm waiting for Yeba's album. I'm waiting for, you know, Brandy and all of these different artists. But then, you know, and that's selfishly, right? But then there's another side of me, the artist side of me, that completely understands, because there's people who have, during this pandemic, I'll be completely honest, I haven't written a lot. I haven't created a lot of poetry. And it's mostly because I've enjoyed the solitude. I've enjoyed the peace. I've enjoyed not having a million things to do, you know, at one time. I really have enjoyed it. And so now I'm kind of slowly getting out of that. But speaking of the pandemic, and before I go to that, for everybody that's watching, please feel free to add some questions in the chat, and we'll make sure that we get to them. This is I don't think that everybody really understands how dope this panel is. Like, I'm like I'm a fan of all of you. So like secretly, I'm kind of like freaking out on the inside just a tad.
We're fans of you.
I'm fangirling. I really am. So I encourage you all to submit some questions to this amazing panel. But speaking of the pandemic, and not to dampen the mood or anything, what have you all been doing during this time? Have you been creating, or have you really just been taking the time to just do nothing?
For me, I really have not really been creating much. For me, I've taken on the bigger role as leader during this time. I was a school teacher, not so much a school teacher. I didn't teach in the public school system, but I do teach on a regular basis. So having to like shift to virtual learning and things like that. I've also taught during the summer camp. So for me, it was really important to break down what was happening from an artist perspective to my students, so they could really grasp like how artists respond to times like these. So the bulk of my teaching over the summer was focused on that. As we kind of push over into the fall, I have shows coming up now. So now I'm like jumping back in the studio because, you know, I have like 6 shows in the wings that I need to be creating for. So, you know, now I'm stepping back into that. But for the most part, since the beginning of COVID, I really haven't created much at all.
Yeah,
I have. I think I think I've created more than I ever have in these past few months. But it's been like I've been creating but being recreated at the same time as a person. So it's like my relationship with God has truly just evolved, and so has my walk. But in that, He downloads stuff to me all the time. I've been writing, I've been creating, and shows and ideas and projects have been just being birthed that I have to now put some work to. And it's being able to not being panicky in the pandemic. So I said, I'm going to use this time because I'm always like this, you know. You know, my mom will tell you in a minute. She's like, "Oh, I'm so tired of calling you," because I'll be like, "Mom, I'll call you right back," and then and right back will be like a week later, and then I have to hear a whole, you know, thing. But this is when I've had a chance to slow down and really focus my ideas, focus in on what I really, really want to put my effort and energy to, really trying to see what I want to see birthed out and grow besides myself. So I've used this time to not just find my peace and not panic and, you know, and all of those good things that we can do, but to really be able to let the things that I've been thinking about come to fruition. So been creating some talk shows, and you know, one that we launched back in May, which is the S.L. Stevens Show, which is hosted by my mentor and my pastor, Dr. and Apostle Sean L. Stevens, and it's been great. and then doing public speaking, and we work on another show, a cooking show. So it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see what's being birthed out of the pandemic. The pandemic ain't seen nothing compared to what's about to get popping around this thing. So I've been excited, and just listening to other creatives and feeding off of their energy. You know, energy is and you know, spiritual connections are very important. So being surrounded by good people, especially in this time, I need zero negativity.
Listen,
I'm gonna throw you the COVID myself. Listen, I'm gonna threaten you the COVID. I don't want to wish COVID on nobody, but I'm gonna threaten you with it. Don't make me find a COVID call. Get it together.
It's a word.
But it's just a matter of, this is a time where people really need to put away the petty and the negative, because as we can see, things can change in a minute. Things can shift in a minute. So what you gonna do in the shift? What you gonna do in the change? You gonna be consumed, or you gonna create? So I
need to write down what you said. You said, I'm creating while also being recreated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen,
I was just telling Al Pete. We just had that discussion a minute ago, trying not to call him by his government name. But I was telling him that, you know, learning so many things about myself. Like, I was like, I'm really not that awesome. But let me gonna be recreated so I can really be as awesome as I thought I was in him, and not, you know, just, you know, a figment of God's imagination. I just want to be everything that He wants me to be, you know? So we had some work to do. He had some work to do.
Oh, you definitely on the right track.
I appreciate it.
Damien, you got anything to add to that?
Well, for me, I too have been creative, and I love the fact that Erin is educating, because I think art education is so important. You know, you still have like the pillars of the art community. You have the educators. I fall between the healer and the creator. I kind of attribute this period to what I was going through back in 2012. I was dealing with a lot of grief. I was going through a bad breakup. I was also moving. At the time I was seeing a therapist, and she told me I was going through adjustment phase disorder. I was like, that's a new one. Never knew anything about that. Adjustment phase disorder. So that we have, and I can truly say all of us now should be very familiar with what adjustment phase disorder is, because, you know, we know every split second things do change, and what's constant is art. What's constant is our response and how we react to what we're being thrown at right now. So for me, back in 2012, I was dealing with a lot of grief. I mean, a lot of loss and a lot of change. And I used that period to create new music. And then this time around, I felt that same level of energy. And I said, you know what, I need to create it. Like, mine is more of like the call. And then I have to provide the response. And as an artist, I created this visual album to go along with this soundtrack that I created back in 2012. And I thought that was the end of that project. And thankfully, I was able to kind of dust it off and get a little bit more clarity about it. And I've even had two people tell me on separate occasions, don't even know me, that I'm supposed to be writing a book. So I've made some arrangements in my home, and have done a little bit of, you know, changing furniture around to accommodate the space that I need to create to be able to get this book out, to be able to continue to create in this environment. So, I just, if you're watching and you're an artist and you feel discouraged, I think artists, and I'm sure Erin can speak to this too, but as an artist, you can figure out a way to work through that frustration, the way to work through the confusion or whatever you're dealing with. There's a way to get that out as an artist and still maintain. You don't necessarily have to take away, like, you know, well, if you're a creator, for instance, and I'm speaking on, I'm a musician, but I'm not necessarily a painter or a mixed media artist. But sometimes these artists have different styles, and sometimes they deviate from this traditional style, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're not an artist. You're still an artist. And it just shows a different side of you. So I mean, I'm sure Erin backed me up on this one because
I would back you up in terms of what you're saying, but I'd also add to that, and this addresses a question that was asked in the chat box. Like, what advice do you have for other creatives that may be in a rut right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay to be in a rut right now. Like, you don't have to create all the time. Like, sometimes as a creator, you need space to like sit still, and then you really have to like accept what kind of creator you are. I know as a visual, I am very settled in who I am as a visual artist. I know as a visual artist, constant production is not my thing. You know, putting out work every week and all, it's not my thing. I'm as much a sort of like researcher, historian. I am as much as that as I am a visual artist. So I have to kind of do that work before the artwork comes, and I give myself the space for that. So in these like COVID times, and you know, like I haven't necessarily felt like I was in a rut, but I just gave myself the space and time to just process what was happening. And when it's time for me to kind of get back in the studio, like I'll know it. So it's okay to be in a rut. It's okay to kind of just let yourself give yourself some time to figure out why you're in the rut versus trying to just go work. And then you kind of, you know, 6 months from now, you're like, why did I even create this stuff? Like, give yourself time to process it.
Yeah. I mean, and I think
I can receive that too.
It all goes along with the evolution of art, right? Because it's a process. Art, you know, sometimes I can put out a poem in 30 minutes. Other times it'll take a year, or it'll take a couple months, or I might write, you know, a line and not revisit it until 6 months from now. Right. So Damien, you kind of touched on it with your most recent project that you just put out. You know, you created it back in 2012.
Yeah.
What was it that spoke to you that said, you know what, I need to revisit that and evolve this project a little bit more?
For me, I felt like it was the voice of the people. There was people needed healing, and as an artist, there are artist healers. You know, I'm a sound healer. I heal through sound and frequencies. I study frequencies. I study, you know, there's different types of megahertz that could be used in sound to help heal. And there's certain types of music. Like this morning, I listened to a wonderful meditation playlist. My friend Joel, who's just celebrating his birthday, listened to an amazing playlist that he put together that kind of keeps you in a really good place. And I think, you know, as a creative, as an artist, that's my medium. You know, grief actually is my answer to grief is creating. That's my thing for whatever reason.
Yeah. But it's all good. Like Willie said, there's therapy in making terrible stuff as well, though.
Absolutely.
Really,
yeah. But ruts are necessary. Ruts are necessary. I think ruts are very necessary, because sometimes we get in ruts because we haven't taken the break we needed.
Right.
Ooh, say that again.
The brain will tell your body some things that you hadn't even caught up to, or that you have ignored the red signs that your brain has been trying to give you.
Yeah.
So sometimes a rut is just not really a rut. It's just a pause. You need to pause. You need to reset.
Right.
You need to say, you know what? Okay, I got to transition from one moment to the next. And a lot of times we just crash everything together just for the sake of creating. And I don't want to, and that's the thing about it is that although I'm in such a creative moment, I'm not creating things just to be creating things.
Yeah.
I'm in a place to birth out things. I'm in a place to do so. And I wasn't in that place last year, you know? So last year I was just like, I just want to find where I want to be, you know? I just want to find that space and get in it. Now I'm in it. So now I'm finna rock it.
And it flows much better too. When you're actually in that vein, it flows. There's no resistance.
Yeah.
Oh,
We said that oftentimes our best work comes out of being in a little funk.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
didn't have a question.
Yeah, so there was a question for Aushia. The modeling and fashion industry being affected right now going forward.
Ooh,
being a supermodel.
Well,
because you model and you Supergirl.
Well,
Right. Receive it. Receive it.
Oh gosh, I'm blushing. Hold up. I done turned Navy Brown. You can't do that to me.
Navy Brown.
Let me get my life back. Question says, no, you know what it was? It was a lot of people. So, I didn't even mention the doggone school. Like, when introducing myself. So I have a school by the name of Ray Usier School of Modeling, Acting, and Refinement. A lot of times, those students that come through are for acting, modeling, makeup, hair, whatever the case may be. We cultivate them in doing so. Okay. So in this pandemic, a lot of people have been panicking. And one of the things that I try and tell people all the time is explore other things within yourself. Don't close yourself off to, oh, I want to just be a model. Nah, it don't work like that. There's much more to you than that. It's just right now, it was at that time, I should say, it was trendy. But then you came out with the IG models.
So many of them.
And then you came out with the Facebook models, and then you came out with the selfie models who gave you the heaven shots that do like this, the heaven angles.
The heaven shots. I love it.
Which kind of made it hard out here for a pimp. It's hard out here, because you had so many people that just was willing to say, black out. And I'm like, ooh, put your clothes on. It's like, wait for the campaign to come. Don't just take it all. Wait for the check. It's just, so a lot of them are trying to figure out where they fit now. So where, like Erin was saying, educating has reared its head again, where people are trying to learn what do I do during this time, where a lot of, like I have a friend of mine she was actually my very first student, and a lot of times that my students will come through, they never really leave me. They graduate, but they stay in contact. So my very first student, which was a long time ago, I've seen her from 14 up until now. She is 27.
Wow.
8-ish. So I've been with her entire career. So she said, well, I don't know what to do now. She's a full-time model. And she was like, I don't know what to do now. I said, well, put a class together in Atlanta. We got kids and everybody that's getting ready to come through. Give them something to do. You got parents about to pull all their hair out because their kids in their face. Do a virtual class or training or something. You have a following. Use it. We don't just have followers on Instagram just to say we got followers. Give them something to follow. Right. Give them content to follow. So in this time, I've been having a lot of conversations with Megan, MJ included.
I call her Megan too.
Okay, I'm sorry. So that it's a matter of tapping into what's deeper than what you see right in front of you. You really have to really dig into and pull out things that are just waiting to be birthed out. Pull out those things. So if you like teaching, go and teach a two. Teach a class or two. You like creating, take a picture. Tag a bunch of companies in it that would be relevant to that picture. Use the virtual world for what it's there for. You can reach so many more people than going to this agency, that agency, this company. Look at me. Here's my portfolio. No, it's a simple @ and that company's name. You can pull them right to you. So it's a matter of using what's in your hands. But going forward, I think people are going to be really taking the limits off. Mm-hmm. This is forcing people to take the limits off because you now have to find different ways to just be who you are. How do I get myself out there? I talk to so many people all the time as far as entertainers who are not in concerts anymore, who are not touring anymore, who are not, and these are people that I work with, and they're like, well, how are you still working? Because, I mean, I got my hand over here. Like he said, listen, this industry is giving me a way to wear many hats. And honey, I love fashion. I love hats. I got a whole bunch of hats. brims, baseball fitted, snapbacks, bedazzled ones. You go wear some hats. So it's just a matter of really using everything that God has put into you to bring it to fruition. So that's that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just want to say one other thing too, because Aushia said something. I feel like I have to address this concerning the medium that we're using.
Okay.
Right now, everybody is on Zoom.
Yeah.
Everybody is, on WebEx or whatever everybody's streaming these days.
Yeah.
And I went through this for maybe 2 days. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, okay, how can I do something different now that the platform looks the same? Like, how can I shine in this new platform that everybody's using, and it looks like it's cookie cutter?
Yeah.
And you use that audience, you use the people that are following you. Like I'm borrowing from the Erykah Badu book, who she has her own website, and she had people coming directly to her website and was streaming concerts for $1, $2, $3, and getting at least $500,000 because of the number of people based on her following.
Which is
she had people coming directly to her, bypassing all this media services, no Zoom, like completely redefining that. So we artists, if we put our head together, we could do this.
Yeah.
We could, there's still the art of the website still didn't die. The website is still relevant. It's how you,
and even more so now, and
when you get them to your website.
Yeah, even more so now, for sure. And we'll definitely touch on that some more. But right now, we're going to take a quick commercial break. So shouts out to our sponsors. So we'll be right back.
A brand new podcast for everyone who wears multiple titles, hats, and even a few masks. We talk about serious things, lighthearted things, and it's perfect just to take a minute away and take that superhero cape off. Listen to it wherever you find your favorite podcast, and follow us on social media at Removing the Cape.
Welcome back to the Art of Evolution. The Art of Evolution. The evolution of art.
It is an art to evolve. It is an art to evolve.
The evolution of art. It is, for sure. So I want to talk about, the importance of art, education and art real quick, but I wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Aushia was saying. One of the things that I love about this pandemic is how limitless people have been, being, because like I can't remember the young lady's name, but the fashion designer who did the virtual.
Oh, man, that was amazing.
That was everything, and it truly, this time it really is calling for people to think outside of the box.
Absolutely.
More than we ever have before.
Throw the box away.
Listen, the whole box. Throw the whole box away. So, Erin, how has that? I know you said that you haven't really been creating a ton, but what are some things that you have been kind of thinking outside of the box when it comes to your art?
For me and my artwork, one thing I had to do was sort of not, and I won't say had to do. One thing that I've done is sort of rethink, like the themes and ideas that I was dealing with before in my artwork. I've had to sort of rethink how to sort of make them fit into the context of what's happening now. And one big aspect of my work before was actually empathy. Like a lot of the sort of like narratives in my work had to do with pushing viewers of my work towards empathy and making you feel sort of like what I'm trying to say, or just feel more for people when you look at my work. My work is, if you know my work at all, it's mainly Black women. And I'm talking about like I'm really trying to express like humanness in Black women. So there's all these narratives wrapped up in. And essentially, I was asking the viewer, now, as we've gone through, not even the COVID thing, but the protests and everything that's happening, like the part of me that was asking and requesting empathy for people is gone, like completely. Like I am out of that space, really. Like if you don't know how to treat, you should know how to treat me because you know how to treat somebody. Like you know what I'm saying? Right. So that part of my work has kind of taken a big step back, and I'm sort of starting to rethink those things. So as I start to develop new work, those narratives will change in mind. And then, like I said, when it comes to teaching, like my teaching has changed. I've been studying Rutledge Pearson. I didn't know a lot about him before I knew who Rutledge Pearson was, but I've really been studying his role as a teacher activist, a teacher activist who was intentionally teaching the students not to be activists, but to tell the truth to his students, So I've really been kind of stepping into that space, and I've made some decisions professionally recently in order to give myself the space and the opportunity to do that. So for me, things are kind of going in that direction.
Yeah. One thing I want to say that, and I don't think I've ever told you this, but one of the things that I really, really appreciated about your exhibit at the Yellow House was how you had the eggshells. Sort of like what I'm trying to say, or just feel more for people when you look at my work. My work is, if you know my work at all, that says everything. Basically, everything that you just said, and not being afraid to step on the eggshells, not being afraid to basically say whatever it is that you feel, to tell the truth about, hey, this is how I, as a Black woman, this is how I feel. This is how these certain things or topics make me feel as a Black woman. So I thought that was completely, that blew my mind. Honestly, that was innovative in itself. So for those of you that don't know, Erin did an exhibit at the Yellow House, and displaying all of her amazing work. But as you walk throughout the exhibit, she had eggshells. And I remember her doing like an all call for eggshells. And,
thousands of eggshells, yes. And they all had to be clean. Yes, it was a job, yes.
And she had eggshells throughout the entire exhibit. So to me, that is something that is completely innovative when it comes to taking your art to the next level. You know what I mean? So, Aushia, with your work with Dr. Oz, how has that continued, or has the pandemic changed all of that as well?
Sorry, I don't know who decided to do that. Did I get kicked off?
Nope, you're here.
You're here.
See me, but okay, I'll keep talking because I can't see me right now. That is funny. That is so funny to me.
We see you.
We can hear you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. And we can hear you and see you.
Well, I can't, but we gonna rock it anyway. So, it affected us. Of course, I don't travel to New York anymore. To do the show, it's all virtual now. However, they're now moving back into the skeleton crew of everything. So they're bringing in, your key players, hair and makeup, and you can't have but so many people in your dressing room. So I can't have no more parties in my dressing room. I can pull it out. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have nobody in my dressing room. But it's so restricted right now. But he's been so understanding and still allowing all of the talent to still have an opportunity to be on the show, even virtually. So we've been, auditions and castings have started to come back and funnel in and everything like that. So it's been really, really challenging not to go to one of the places that I love, because I love getting on the train and going to New York. It's 4 hours away, it's like, let's go. So, but at the same token, I hadn't really lost the opportunity to still gain that check. So
I'm glad that you say that, because that's why I asked that question, because it's important, right? One thing that I've learned is how important it is to have multiple streams.
yeah.
And as artists, I think this time has definitely shown us all, and has, it was a hard lesson for a lot of people, how important it is, and how important my mom always used to say, you need to have multiple streams of income. Always.
And even saving.
Yep.
Saving.
Yeah.
It is really, me and Amazon was best friends, and
Me too. Me too.
we just had to really part ways for a little bit. I mean, I didn't completely divorce him. We're separated.
Yes.
Until we
got
a
break. This is a break
that we can coincide. But right now I'm a little heartbroken that I don't see the blue stripe coming through my mailbox so
yes,
but
I have that.
It's definitely important to have that multiple stream. So Damien, you have your many hats that you wear. What are some of the things that you're doing, like for those artists that are out there who are struggling, looking for different avenues and different things to do to keep afloat or to stay afloat? What are some of the things that you're doing that some people could really benefit from? Uh-oh. Damien, are you there? Can you hear me? One thing I love about these virtual calls is that I used to train. I used to teach corporate training, and one of the videos I used to show in my training was always like, it was like the visual to a conference call. Yeah. And so you had the person
I can hear you
who
now.
was like buffering.
I did not hear the question. There's a little bit of a delay.
That's okay. So I was saying, we were talking about multiple streams of income and how important it is to have that. So you wear many hats. What are some of the things that you have going on that could not only benefit some of the artists, but that could maybe inspire them to do their own multiple streams? That's okay. So I was saying, when we were talking about multiple streams of income,
yeah, you can hear it on his end.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I have a really, really bad delay. I am so sorry. And I'm trying to watch it live so I can kind of catch up, but there's obviously a little bit of a delay. So if you guys are seeing me, I apologize. I'm going to have to leave because it's just really bad. But
That's
thank
okay.
you for having me on. I appreciate it.
We love you.
Thank you.
All right. So Erin, you have multiple streams. So you were talking about, we're definitely going to get into education, but multiple streams of, and I guess I'll just throw it out for both of you guys, both of you ladies, multiple streams of income. What do you have going on that, that could inspire other artists out there who are maybe struggling, looking for ways to make ends meet?
I think one of the biggest things for artists is to find your market. Don't think like because somebody's not spending 10 grand and 50 grand and all that kind of stuff on your work that you can't sell work. If you sell $100 work, find somebody who has $100 to spend. Go to places, put your work in places where people would expect to spend $100. I fortunately, and the conversation among other artists has really been the same. Like I have sold more work in this period of time than I ever have. That's not connected to an exhibition. Like if I have an exhibition, I'll sell pretty well.
Yeah.
But just this kind of dead space, I have sold so much work.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know if people just are like, it's like the Amazon thing. I don't know if people are just kind of sitting home and just want to spend money. I don't know if, I guess people have just kind of had a break to really think of things that they want. I appreciate every collector I have, from somebody who buys like a, $50 print to somebody who buys like a $3,000 or $4,000 painting, like whatever. But it's been like that. Now, in terms of multiple streams of income, of course, I'm a visual artist, so I sell work. I'm an arts educator, so I teach within a program. In the past, excuse me, I told them it's a COVID negative cough. Don't put me out. I teach I typically teach in various programs. So I'm not a public school teacher. I'm what's called a teacher artist. So I move in and out of programs that service schools. So I've taught for different organizations in that capacity. I also have my own teaching initiative called Artist Types. And that's just pretty much like a professional presentation side of things for other artists. So I am teaching artists how to write CVs and how to, write in artist statements and things like that. Because a lot of times that's where we struggle, or we don't submit to shows and exhibitions because we don't have our paperwork ready. So I have, and that's a full sort of like web-based online service. So I have that kind of stream of income. I still kind of float and mingle as a graphic designer, like people don't know it and I won't necessarily say, but I have like 2 specific long time clients that I do things for like on a weekly basis as a graphic designer. Mm-hmm. So, anything creative. The one thing I don't do creatively that everyone asks all the time is like private lessons. Like I don't do that just because I can't give somebody the time and attention they'll need, but just about anything else, I'm on it.
Listen, I think one thing I love about this COVID thing is that it definitely has birthed some accidental side hustles for me. I made I've always been creative and crafty. So I saw a doormat that I wanted.
I saw it, yeah.
And I just posted it because I was like, hey guys, look at what I did. And then people started cash apping me and was like, hey, I want that mat. And I was like, okay.
Right.
So now I've kind of grown into this like business, which is really crazy to me because I wasn't expecting to do it, but I love it. Mm-hmm. I enjoy doing it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think and so many people like create stuff like bracelets and all that good stuff, and I'm like, I wish that's just not me.
It's just kind of, but you had like you were speaking earlier about like the taking your thing that you do online, and a lot of people will be like, well, I don't know how to teach people online, or I don't know enough to teach or to show people. Like, teach yourself 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, what did you need to know? Like, there is somebody who needs to get to where you are now. Like, I know, I still have a ton of stuff to learn, but I also have a ton of stuff, like a ton of experience to kind of teach. Somebody's there. And it's just a matter of doing the work to find the market. So there's always, and you don't even have to teach. There are people like making tons of YouTube money because they're like whispering to food and stuff. Like, there's ways to make, money online. So you just gotta, invest in yourself a little bit and figure out what you can do.
And you gotta be patient. You have to be patient with yourself. Yeah. I like what you said. Teach yourself 2 years ago. I like it.
Because you're right now in somebody else's goal.
Yeah.
Right.
So, don't rob them from learning what your right now is as you're learning what your next level is.
Yeah.
You'll always have content to teach as long as you keep evolving. The evolution of art.
The evolution of art. I like it.
Exactly. And respond to what people are asking for. That's where my artist type business was born out of people asking me to help them write their CV, or, hey, can you look at this artist statement for me? So, you're kind of looking for people's pain points. If people are asking you for something all the time, make it a teaching model. Like, I was kind of doing these one-off things, and I'm like, I don't want to kind of sit with all these individual people. So let me just make a downloadable template that you can go pay a little bit of money for.
That's right.
And then you can do it yourself. So like, pull it from what people are asking you for.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing too that it's important to tap into a lot of the creative side that a lot of the creativeness that you don't show to people, right? One thing that I've learned is that I've been able to tap into things that have always been a part of me, but I never shared with anybody. Like, nobody knew I played the piano until I was just randomly on live playing the piano. I don't even think MJ knew. No, nobody knew. Right? But I did it. I just was like, because I was bored one day, and I was like, oh, let me pull out this keyboard and just play. But it definitely has birthed a lot of ideas. So Aushia, you're more. I know you said that you're not the creative type or crafty type, but you do a lot on the back end. Yeah. So what are some things that you gave some good points earlier about, posting something and put the towards to whatever company or whoever it is that you're looking to get in contact with, what are some other ideas that you could give from your standpoint?
One of the things that I was trying to tell a friend of mine actually the other day, I was trying to tell her, I was like, take your 5-year goal and fast forward it. Mm-hmm. How would you take your goal that you want to be in 5 years and bring it to your right now? Because now you have time to think on it. Now you have time to put some things in motion. So if I wanted to be, for instance, and this is a real life story for me, want to have my own talk show where I'm the host in the next 5 years. Well, that's going to be fast forward now.
Yeah.
So now how can I bring that to fruition? Because everyone is in front of the TV. Everyone is in front of the screen right now. So I have an opportunity to bring that to fruition now. Yeah. Not rushing the project, but fast tracking the project. Not being given a sloppy project, but just fast tracking it. Now, if God tells me to pause on it, I'm going to pause on it. I ain't going to go outside of what he said. Yeah. However, this is just an opportunity to fast track your goals. Your realistic goals. Let's be clear. If you want to be married in 5 years, you can't just be going out there and be like, you go be my COVID boo and we gonna get married after the pandemic.
We get married today.
Pump your brakes, boo boo. It's not that deep. Okay, we don't want no pandemic babies. That was Sierra. Shout out to Sierra. She had her baby today. So, but you want to give your realistic goals, long-term goals, a little push or a big push. And that's, again, you got to be realistic with yourself and where you are with it. So a couple of things that I'm doing are I stepped into investing. That was a new one for me. But my mentor, I trust him with my life. So it's just a matter of, listening, being open to the process, embracing the process, and trusting the process of what your instructions are. I also, as far as the producing and teaching. So teaching has become very interesting now because I just had a course not too long ago in regards to how to Zoom, or how to display your best virtual self. Mm-hmm. So lighting and making sure that you don't have a bunch of prints on your clothes, and your hair's not all over the place, and you want to make sure that what you ate for lunch ain't showing up on your teeth for dinner. Right. So you just want to just saying, so you want to make sure you present your best self, right. Everything is aligned. And then I also do group and individual courses. So whether it's for modeling or acting, because now acting is starting to step back up again, and studios are starting to open. So I've had a lot of people saying, "Hey, I need you to run through my lines with me," or this, that, and the third. So that costs too.
Yeah,
they didn't know freebies.
Right.
I don't break the bank, but free.
Yes, everything costs. I like what you said about bring your 5-year goal to your right now. I love that. So listen, if y'all hear some of the stuff that y'all said, I will make sure I quote y'all, but I'm just gonna let you know. You might hear it again.
Yeah, man. But we don't want to just hear it again. We want to see it put to work.
Oh, it's gonna be put into action.
That's the thing about being a creator, and even as things are being downloaded to us by the moment, one of the things that I hate to do is to teach something and you just let it stay dormant. You know what I mean? It just dies on your ears. And I'm like, this is coming from my soul.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Put it to work. Educator can have the best reward is to see that product, what you have put into somebody, flourish. That is great to me. It's just great.
And as we start to wrap up, I agree completely. You touched on the education of it all, right? So both of you all being educators in your field, in your industry.
Sure.
How good, because one thing I realized is that a lot of the people who were, because before pre-COVID, you know, they were taking art out of schools. They were taking away all kinds of stuff from the kids. And now that we're in the middle of it, it seems like everybody's running towards the arts more now. So as educators, especially, and we'll start with you, Erin, how does it feel to, I know that there's still some struggles when it comes to art and education, but how does it feel to now be a part of the solution that everybody's now looking for?
For me personally, it doesn't feel any different because I've always sort of, whether somebody thought like teaching art was the solution of not, I've always kind of been there. You know, I've always been an advocate for, you know, creativity kind of by any means necessary. So whether you're in one of my virtual classes or we're in a classroom, and even when I'm in an elementary classroom, like I teach elementary kids like I teach adults. Like, you know, we're going to like learn how to process thought, you know, teach people how to paint and things like that. Like we're going to learn how to, you know, really consider who we are and what we think and how we feel and how we translate that into what we want people to see. So I've always worked in programs that service school systems. You know, I got out of public education a long time ago because it was really kind of a hindrance to me as a teacher to be inside of the school all day long. And I actually just gave up an opportunity to go back into the school system. I chose to kind of stay independent in a sense, and teach in a different program. But, you know, for me, if you know me or anything about me, like I am always presenting myself as that solution, you know, so it's kind of been the same for me. It's interesting. I think a lot of it just comes out of parents. Parents don't know what to do, and art is like the most accessible thing. So it's like, go find something to do on YouTube or go find a class or something like that. You know, because it's accessible. They can go buy art supplies versus like going to figure out math and all that kind of stuff. So it's accessible. It's an easy kind of outlet for parents. So I think it's on us as educators to really kind of step fully into that space. And make sure it's because, you know, even if they do end up pulling art out of schools, now we have all these platforms, this whole online thing again, you know, that will still be there, you know, once things kind of get back to normal. So we still have opportunities to make money and reach kids in different artistic ways.
That's awesome. Did you want to add anything, Aushia?
No, that was it. I love being used.
Right.
You know, if who I am, who I was, you know, called to be, who I was born to be, helps the next, I'm all for it. You know, I think who we are helps us as well as those who benefit from us, and in so many different ways. So as far as, you know, being an outlet for, you know, the kids, of course, it gives them an opportunity to still express themselves without, you know, being reckless with it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you can be reckless with your gift. You can be reckless with your gift, and it's abuse to your gift. Your gift can't flourish when you abuse it as anything else. So, and plus, you know, the parents get to keep all their hair, you know.
Exactly.
You know, so everybody wins. Everybody lives to see another day. Nana ain't got to come and bring in the belt, you know. So, but, and then sometimes even being an outlet creates an outlet for us, you know, because if you, and Erin, I would love your feedback on this. It's just a matter of when you are really engaged in educating, the person you're educating also educates you, gives you a benefit as well. So I always look forward to whatever I'm giving, man, just God, let me just be open to the right thing to get something from what I'm doing, because there's a reward for me too. Teach me something while I teach, you know, so I'm just, you know, use me.
Use me.
If I could say I'd do it, I promise you I would.
Me too. Another thing for me, one thing that's really important for me, and sorry about the light, I'm in a hotel room and it's starting to get dark outside.
Right. You still see that melanin pop?
Thank you. One thing that is imperative for me, but it's like center of why I am here doing what I do. When I was young and I thought art was cool, I had no clue what to do with it. I had no clue that it could be a career. I had no clue. I had no Black educators. One thing that's really like integral for me is duplicating myself. Like this next kind of like generation of kids should not lack Black educators, should not, when I first started teaching at jams, I was like, what Black artists do you know? And they're like, I don't know. I think you are, like that shouldn't happen. Yeah. Like when I leave a classroom or when I leave a program, that shouldn't be happening anymore. So it is imperative to me to be duplicating myself in some capacity. You don't necessarily have to go be a visual art teacher, but you need to know how to use your creativity to be an engineer, to be a hairstylist, to be, a mathematician, whatever. Yeah. That's super important to me, is that like, we're not like the last of a dying breed, and there's no, there's nobody else after us who looks like us doing what we do. So.
Right, exactly. That's awesome. Listen, we can continue this conversation for hours on end, and I wish that we could. So hopefully we will continue to do this
we
more.
Come back for round 2.
Yes, because this was truly wink, wink.
I'm gonna give you my good lash right now. I'm giving you
the good lash. Okay, we need to add comedian to your plethora of titles. But so as we wrap up, Erin and Aushia, please tell people how they can support you. How can they find your work, and how can they continue to encourage you to do all the great works that you guys do?
Erin, my dear.
Okay. I am at Erin, ERIN. Erin is creative.co. It's kind of like my main space. That's my website online. On social media, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn and Twitter. So Instagram and Facebook is the same thing. Erin is creative.co. Don't forget the .co. On Twitter, it's Artist Types. So my other business, so if anybody's interested in that, if you need help like writing your CV specifically for art, your artist statement, your artist bios, and some other programs are coming. That's called Artist Types. So artist with an S, ARTISTS, types, TYPES. Get it? Because you're typing. You can so you can find me at artisttypes.com, and then on, like I said, on Twitter, my Twitter handle is Artist Types. And that's pretty much like, Instagram, I post all the time about upcoming exhibitions. I have a really busy exhibition schedule coming up, so hopefully I will see some of you this fall, even if it's virtual, but that's it.
Thank you, Erin.
Well, you can find me. I'm on Instagram via the school, Ray Aushia School of Modeling, Acting and Refinement, under at Ray Aushia Schools with an S, REUSSIR Schools with an S. I am also my website is AushiaSmith.com. I am on Twitter at Aushia Noir, AUSHIANOIR. Yeah, those are the things. I'm so happy. Like I had such a good time. Like
yes, this was great.
Awesome. This was truly awesome. And we lost Damien Lamar, but you can definitely follow him on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Damien Lamar, and check out his website at DamienLamar.com. My name again is LoveReigns, and you can find me at IamLoveReigns.live. All my stuff is there. I won't bombard you with all of the stuff and all the hats that I wear. But thank you, ladies, so much for your insight and your professionalism and everything that you do. Much love and success to you both, truly.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes,
all right, y'all stay tuned. This is the 7th-year anniversary of Fly Socks and Tees. Y'all stay tuned for Shit Talk, No Fragrance. Sorry, Mom.
A brand new podcast for everyone who wears multiple titles, hats, and even a few masks. We talk about serious things, lighthearted things, and it's perfect just to take a minute away and take that superhero cape off. Listen to it wherever you find your favorite podcast, and follow us on social media at Removing the Cape.